Sir Ernest has agreed to proceed with this morning's press conference, despite his obvious distress at having been reminded of the death of his friend and colleague, Captain Robert Scott. Mr. Peabody, Sir Ernest wishes me to convey to you that he bears you no ill will for having raised that particular issue. However, he respectfully requests that we proceed with this morning's event with questions based solely upon the expedition. He indicated to me that he would address your issue at the conclusion of this morning's proceedings. I trust, Mr. Peabody, that you will respect Sir Ernest's wishes.
Mr. McCarthy, my gracious peers, I wish to apologize for interrupting and jeopardizing a very important interview with Sir Ernest. I simply could not force the question from my own mind, and when the distinguished journalist from El Mundo mentioned the Terranova expedition, I suppose my own anger at the untimely death of a great man such as Captain Scott overpowered my sense of decorum. Once again, Mr. McCarthy, my gracious peers, I do humbly apologize.
I accept your apology, Mr. Peabody, on behalf of Sir Ernest and on behalf of the distinguished journalists here present. Let us all try to remember that Sir Ernest, while he is a powerful man and a formidable leader of men, is also quite sensitive to certain subjects. I respectfully request that we all try to keep that in mind. And with that having been said, it now pleases me immensely to bring back to the stage the most inspiring leader a crew of 27 men could ever have asked for. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I give you once again Sir Ernest Henry Shackleton.
To apologize myself, Mr. Peabody, for my weakness earlier. And then I remembered that there's nothing weak about truthfully remembering the pain of a tragic loss, and you are quite right. The loss of Captain Scott was indeed tragic and painful for his family, friends, his men, king, country, for leaders, adventurers everywhere. And as Mr. McCarthy has indicated, I will attempt to put those feelings of mine into words at the end of our process today. However, sir, I do owe you an apology for my behavior earlier. Again, it was a matter of Mr. Peterson's question, anger and anguish and despair separating me from what I knew in my heart was best for myself, for you, and for the rest of this group. So I offer you that apology and accept full responsibility for my behavior. But for this time, Mr. Peabody, with your kind permission, I should like to attempt to complete the task that we set for ourselves earlier this morning, and that is to celebrate the safe return of the 27 men of the Imperial Transatlantic Expedition, those plucky lads who never permitted themselves for a moment to think that the impossible was ever beyond their grasp. With your kind permission.
By all means, Sir Ernest, I thank you, sir, for your understanding. Please do accept my apology for raising my voice earlier. I assure you I meant no disrespect.
Try to keep that in mind, Mr. Peabody, when you write my next obituary. Mr. McCarthy, I believe you said there was one more arranged question prior to going to open forum?
That is correct, Sir Ernest. We do have a question prepared from the representative of the Victoria Times columnist. How you selected the individuals who would accompany you in the James Caird on the voyage to Elephant Island, and then how you selected the individuals who would scale the glacier with you once you arrived there.
Right, Worsley and Crean.
Yes.
Right. So, well, it took 6 very difficult days and 6 dreadful nights to reach Elephant Island from Patience Camp. Once the 3 boats arrived, which was a miracle in itself, there were 3 tasks that we set ourselves to immediately. The first was Blackborough's amputation. That meant that we needed to create a very secure and sterile environment for that procedure to take place. The second was to create a working camp upon that awful spit of an island, Elephant Island. Terrible and awful place. The third task was perhaps the most arduous of all. That was to prepare the James Caird, the 22-foot whaler lifeboat, for the 850-mile, 17-day journey across the Drake Passage, the most destructive body of water on the face of the earth. To give you an idea of just how destructive, the Drake Passage lies squarely between the 52nd and 53rd parallel, and there's an old seafarer's expression that goes as follows: beyond 40 degrees south, there is no law. Beyond 50 degrees south, there is no gold. So, the first order, or two orders that I gave, was to Chippy McNeish, the carpenter. I said, Chippy, you'd best prepare the James Cairn for the battering of her life. You'd best get it right, because you're going with me. Well, as you can imagine, all the men rallied round Chippy, especially remembering his previous encounter with the James Cairn, and Chippy was brilliant. He raised the sides of the boat by almost a foot. He created a canvas top deck to prevent her from taking on too much water. He created ballast sections beneath so that weight could be shifted easily by the three men resting below. He created harnesses to keep us on board. He created a secondary mast and sail in case the primary mast was destroyed during the journey, which of course it was. Absolutely brilliant work by Chippy to prepare the James Cairn for that incredibly difficult journey. My second choice for that journey was an obvious one. Captain Worsley's job would be to hold on to his sextant and somehow find a way to navigate us to South Georgia. That would be difficult at best. South Georgia is a tiny speck of an island in the South Atlantic, and we would be facing winds of up to 50 kilometers per hour and waves up to 60 meters high. So, that meant if Wuzzles was off by his calculations by a mere half a degree, we would shoot past the island with absolutely no hope of return and absolutely no hope of rescue. My third choice for the journey was Tom Crean. Tom Crean was absolutely fearless. He had also accompanied Captain Scott on both Discovery and Terra Nova, as well as accompanied me on Nimrod. Plus, he was a capable navigator in case anything, God forbid, should happen to Wuzzles. And he was the strongest man in the entire ship's company. If worse came to worse, Crane would simply put our harnesses in his teeth and swim us to South Georgia, if necessary. My fourth choice for the journey was Mr. McCarthy here. Though older than the rest, Mr. McCarthy was always stout, fit, always in good humor, as I doubt not you have discovered. Plus, he was a capable fisherman with a priceless knowledge of small crafts and tight spots, and this would be a very, very tight spot. My fifth and final choice for the journey was perhaps my most interesting choice of all. Seaman John Vincent was at or near the breaking point. He had witnessed Blackborough surgery on Elephant Island, and that did not go well for him. He had started to become discouraged, and I was concerned that his discouragement might evolve into depression. And depression is a dangerous and elusive thing. People rarely ever recognize it in each other, and they never see it in themselves. I was concerned that Seaman Vincent's discouragement might turn to depression, and that his depression might affect the others left behind on Elephant Island. So I gave him the opportunity to become part of the team of 6 that would somehow miraculously make it to South Georgia Island and bring a rescue boat for the 22 left behind. Of course, I gave Vincent the opportunity to turn down that spot and give it to another. We both knew that would not be possible for him. Had he done so, he never would have been able to live with himself. Now, as far as traversing the glacier, once we arrived on South Georgia Island, of course, Worsley and Crean would accompany me. Worsley, of course, would have to once again hang on to his sextant and find a way to navigate us over that 2,000-foot sheer drop ice glacier which covered all of South Georgia Island. And of course, Tom Crean would carry us on his back. If worse came to worse. 36 hours of scaling that glacier later, we heard the very first man-made sound that we had heard in 18 months' time. The work whistle from the whaling station below in Great Viking in King Haakon Bay. So we scaled the final 1,200 feet, and then the three of us, myself, Worsley and Crean, 3 battered and tattered skeletons covered in blubber smoke, stumbled through the village and knocked on the door of the manager's station, a man that I had known personally and well for 22 years. He opened the door and looked at the 3 of us and said, "Who in the hell are you?" I said, "My friend, don't you recognize me? My name is Shackleton." He fell to his knees and wept. So you see, it was a perfect team of 3 to scale that glacier, an achievement that no one has been able to achieve either before or since, just as it was, of perfect team of 3 boats to do something no one has been able to achieve before or since, make it from the Antarctic ice shelf to Elephant Island, just as it was a perfect team of 3 sets of 9 to make 27 men, officers, able-bodied seamen, and scientists who did something many consider to be impossible. Return with no lives lost from a floating piece of ice. Marvelous lot. We miss them all. Mr. McCarthy.
Sir.
I believe you said we are going to open forum.
That is correct, Sir Ernest. At this time, we shall open the floor to questions. If you have a question prepared for Sir Ernest, kindly raise your hand. And when you're recognized, please stand and address that question to Sir Ernest.